Do you wonder if you're the best version of yourself? This is the question we seek to answer in this podcast. We reveal information that helps you recover your health and become resilient. Modern life makes us fragile. Our diet, lifestyle, and environment set us up for failure. We do not accept this. We seek optimization. We strive to become dynamic. Hey, what's going on? Dr. Chris here. Welcome to Season 6. First off, I just want to say thank you to FeedSpot. Somehow they tracked down my podcast. They do a ranking of top 30 health podcasts in Florida. Right now I'm currently sitting at 14, so thank you for finding me. I appreciate that, and thanks to all my listeners for helping me get there. So today I want to talk about creatine in the kidneys. I've heard a number of practitioners say, oh, you shouldn't take creatine. It's bad for your kidneys. And I think this is not accurate. This is just kind of a logical fallacy that exists with blood work, where we see a marker and we assume that's a one-to-one correlation of something. But remember, markers, they're a proxy of what's going on. They're not a direct marker. It's a bit like seeing firefighters near a fire and assuming that firefighters caused the fire. They just happen to be around fire most of the time. So it's a bit like that. So creatinine is a marker that many practitioners will look at for the sign of any kind of kidney dysfunction. And I've heard other, sort of higher level trained practitioners say that they don't even use it anymore. So people like Peter Attia have said he doesn't even look at creatinine for kidney function. But creatinine is the breakdown product of creatine. So creatinine is often associated with kidney dysfunction, and, for good reason, because it is a waste product that's filtered out by the kidneys. So when creatinine levels rise, it can signal that kidneys might be struggling. But this is a bit of a rule of thumb, not a definite rule. So high creatinine levels don't always indicate a serious health problem. In fact, several instances where elevated creatinine levels are perfectly normal or simply a reflection of factors unrelated to kidney disease. So as I mentioned, creatinine is a breakdown or a waste product of, or byproduct, I should say, of creatine, but it's also the normal byproduct of the breakdown of muscle tissue. So someone who works out a lot is going to tend to have high creatinine levels. But the average person who's not, a crazy workout-aholic is not going to have elevated creatinine under normal circumstances because the kidneys, when they're functioning efficiently, they filter out that waste product pretty well. As kidney function declines, then you can get a buildup of that creatinine. However, the more muscle mass a person has, the more creatinine their body can produce. So if you are a frequent gym goer, or potentially specifically for people who do a lot of interval training and do a lot of intense workouts, so they're just going to naturally have a elevated level of creatinine. Also, if you eat high levels of protein from animal sources, that is, you're going to have elevated creatinine because that is a byproduct of the muscle meat itself. Also, good old-fashioned dehydration will falsely elevate your creatinine levels because your blood volume decreases, so it'll show elevated concentrations of creatinine. There's also some medicines that can, and supplements for that matter, that can affect kidney function sort of temporarily. Things like NSAIDs, antibiotics, blood pressure medicine like ACE inhibitors, they can all influence creatinine levels. And yes, supplementing with creatine will raise creatinine levels. But again, this is just a guilt by association. So creatinine is a result of kidney disease, not the cause. Creatine's been a very heavily studied supplement. It's generally considered very safe. So if your creatinine levels are high, I'd probably get it rechecked and, look at what you've been doing. Have you been working out a lot? Are you supplementing with creatine? Are you eating a diet high in animal products? So let me just touch on some of the things that creatine does that are positive. So we all know it improves your strength and power because it helps replenish your ATP, which is your energy. It can improve your muscle mass, and it can hydrate the muscles. It can help with recovery and decrease muscle soreness. And there's a lot of new studies coming out that there's potential cognitive benefits, which I believe because anything that affects the gut affects the brain. However, if you are having some symptoms and your creatinine is high, the symptoms being like fatigue, like noticeable change of fatigue, swelling or edema in the legs, frequent urination, shortness of breath, or a sudden onset of high blood pressure, then it's something to investigate further. So just like with imaging, you have to correlate the findings in like an MRI of your low back, for example, to what we see clinically. You have to match those things because you can have signs of a disc issue, a herniated disc or a bulge disc, and it's not the thing that's causing the issue. You have to really correlate the two. Same thing with blood work. You can't just look at one-off markers and use it diagnostically. You have to look at patterns. It's a good idea to have a baseline. It's a good idea to do blood work at least twice a year to watch for patterns. So that's it for this episode. Stay tuned. I will be doing one on grip strength pretty soon. I have an exciting program I'm going to release on how to improve your grip strength. Because grip strength, besides being tied to longevity and being very useful proxy of strength, it also can decrease blood pressure, which is fascinating. So stay tuned for that, and I'll be talking to you guys soon. A ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are meant to do. What does this mean? It means exposing yourself to difficult situations so you become resilient. If you need help building resilience, check out our flagship program called Physiologic Flexibility. This is a 3-month do-it-yourself program that teaches you how to maximize your homeostatic regulators, such as your pH, blood glucose, O2 and CO2 tolerance, and temperature. We give you specific action items through the program with the goal of becoming anti-fragile. If you want to become the inspiration for your friends and family, this is the program for you.